Yeah, hi guys, Sharath K Bhaskaran. So this week we will be discussing about comparative advantage and globalization in the age of tariffs. What is comparative advantage? In his own words, David Ricardo says, under a system of perfectly free commerce, each country naturally devotes its capital and labor to such employments as are most beneficial to each. This pursuit of individual advantage is admirably connected with the universal good of the whole. What does it mean in simple terms is you're much better off using your time doing what you do best and buying a little bit of tomato from the farmer who specializes in that and does that better on scale rather than using your time to grow tomatoes at your own backyard. That's the gist of it. And this applies to individual states and nations as well. But why is Trump right now imposing tariffs?
We will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Much like the end of the Second World War during COVID, which is also a calamity, the government spent their way out of economic depression, which in turn produced a lot of inflation as well. Inflation is basically too much money chasing too little goods, where the level of currency is higher and the level of productivity remains same because you can print money and increase the level of currency, but the productivity cannot be increased overnight. And countries reach to a point of stagflation. Much of countries realized that the debt they had is producing a very little return after adjusting for inflation. So they asked for the gold, which is pegged against the currency. So that's when Richard Nixon famously closed the gold window and asked other countries to buy the goods and service from their country instead. We are pretty much at the same inflection point where Trump is asking everyone to make products in America, but much of the world is already globalized and are having trade relationships with each other. So if all the other countries decided they use the same tactics, that is everyone to build the things in their own home country, then it will be a much reversal of globalization and David Ricardo's comparative advantage as well. This is essentially saying growing tomatoes at your own backyard instead of doing what you do best. Emerging countries like India are having their currencies weakened because the central banks are facing what they call an impossible trilemma, which means it is impossible for a country to simultaneously have a fixed foreign exchange rate, free capital movement, and an independent monetary policy. You cannot have all the threes together, you can only have two of those things. The most of the emerging market maintained the first two things and made the monetary policy same as the USA. As the investors are realizing the future cash flow of the US assets are much better than the emerging markets, there is a capital flight. Whenever the capital flight crisis happened, the central banks used to manage this by selling off US currencies and debts in their foreign reserve. At some point when the flight is so high, they stop selling the foreign reserves and let the currencies weaker. Which means now, proportionally, the higher amount of money is chasing fewer goods in the emerging markets as well. Central banks can rise interest rates, but it will hurt the private players and it might lead into a recession as well. Now, the central banks can let the currencies weaker, but it will lead to inflation and it will hurt the most of the people in the country as well. Either way, there is pain. The only way the emerging markets can counteract this is by engaging in free trade, cutting down tariffs, and increasing the amount of goods and services into the country, so they have stable growth with much less pain. And I think these tariffs use all the more reasons to engage in free trade with other countries. And there is a global leadership hole that I think emerging countries like India can fill in. Yeah, there is a language issue. So you can use a translator or subtitles.